Sunset of Time by a Binacorn. Chapter 23, Echoes of Time. Applejack rose from the cold marble floor, nursing her aching jaw. She watched both Vesper and Sunset laugh with malice more chilling than the frostlet's breath, their combined power pummeling her even from a distance, forcing her to stagger back. Even in her horrific alicorn state, Applejack had to concede that Vesper held a sinister type of elegance. She resembled Nightmare Moon more than Celestia, but she was still something to behold. Applejack glanced back at her friends, older and pushed back to the fallen column resting on the front slits. Much like her own, their expressions bordered on horrified. Save for Rainbow Dash, who was cradled over Fluttershy's hose, looking ready to pass into the next world. This is wrong. This is all wrong. Sunset walked to the floor of the dais and turned to face the group. She wore the same mad grin he'd come to associate with Vesper. A red gleam hung in her eyes. Sunset. Twilight took a step forward and was immediately hurled back across the crystal floor by a blue beam. She came to rest by the frostlet's back leg, clutching her chest while tears gathered to the corners of her eyes. Twilight! Reddy started towards her. No pony move! Sunset bellowed. Her voice carried a faint distortion. A second Sunset speaking over the first. Sunset's horn glowed the same teal it normally did, but her voice was like I could sense there was something out of place. Applejack looked from Twilight and struggled to pick herself back up, to Sunset, who eyed them all with superiority. Sunset. Applejack only had a second to process the jet of light before it hit her in the shoulder. She imagined it was how Big Mac, punching her with all his strength, would feel. She collapsed to the floor, eyes watering while her shoulder throbbed in unison with her still aching jaw. She squeezed her eyes shut like it would help block out the pain. Somewhere overhead, Vesper was still laughing. I'm not the Sunset you think I am. No, I am what came before. I am the original. Applejack opened her eyes and looked up. The red gleam in Sunset's eyes brightened. For 50 years I have slumbered, first wavering between this world and next, then buried in the lies of harmony and friendship. She pulled her lips back in an ugly snarl. That worthless other took over, thinking she could live a happy and peaceful life, even if it was just a pretty lie. But she finally gave in. No matter how many times she reasserted herself she was doing the right thing, she still carried that seed of doubt and resentment. She looked back over at Vesper and grinned. I just needed a little jumpstart to use that negative energy against her. Sunset threw her head back and laughed. Memories of power. The unstoppable magic flowing through me. Yes, a second ascension was just what I needed. Now we restore true order here. She's tails and I'm heads. Now, me, the truest essence of her soul. I am the true Sunset Shimmer! Wait. If she's tails, are you saying that she's a complete ass? Okay, maybe I need to rethink that phrase. She gestured to the alicorn behind her. And I'm going to assure this time I succeed in fulfilling my destiny! Vesper made a throaty giggle. A delayed reaction, but I'm glad you came to your senses, Replica. She raised an eyebrow. But how do I know this isn't some elaborate act? Sunset flashed a jagged smile that chilled Applejack further. I'll prove it. She pointed her horn at Fluttershy and Rainbow and hurled a ball of fire at him. Fluttershy yelled to press herself into Rainbow's bloody chest. Applejack pushed herself to her hose, but knew she would never make it in time. Spike threw himself in front of the blaze, laying and watched over his entire body. The impact threw him at Fluttershy's hose, but he got off and shook himself off like nothing happened. Boo! Sunset gnashed her teeth together. Stupid dragon! Electricity arced along her horn as she aimed it at Spike's heart. Piggy ran forward, stopping Applejack. Sunset! Stop it! Stop it! You're our old pony, remember? There were tears lighting her eyes. You said you want to change. Don't be that big meanie. Be you. Please. Sunset teared back. Her spell started to fade. He looked at Pinky with dazed and confused eyes. Elsac thought Pinky might have broken through. Then a red glint returned. Magic once again danced around Sunset's horn. Lightning erupted from the tip to try and fry Pinky, passed aimlessly through purple wisps. Elsac jerked her head to see Pinky come out of the teleport near the Frostlet's head. As Twilight strode forward again. Sunset, you have to stop this. I know you're... Sunset didn't give her time to finish. She charged at Twilight, horn ablaze, and delivered a full-body tackle before the two of them vanished in a ball of blue light. Twat! Applejack yelled, then was in pain. Applejack! Pinky slammed into her, pushing her away from the oncoming blast that cracked the crystal tiles. You fools should be more concerned about yourselves. Vesper charged her horn and fired again. This time it was Applejack who pulled Pinky out of harm's way. Vesper growled and reeled up on her hind legs. Let's just see how much power I really have. She smashed her front hose to the ground, creating a massive tremor. The floor heaved and rolled. Cracks climbed to pillars and chunks from the ceiling fell. Applejack leapt over a growing fissure and snapped Spike onto her back. Overhead, Fluttershy frantically wove out to debris away, still clutching Rainbow. Vesper cackled, her entire body shuddered with mirth. Die! Bolts of magic exploded from her horn and ricocheted around the room. Die! 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 Rarity took some of the fallen tiles and held them over her head, resigning herself of a makeshift shield. It appeared to work when one of the spells came down and bounced off of them. Fluttershy was brave enough to hide underneath the frost slits, allowing of course to take one of the blows. Vesper continued to fire, her magic bounding out the crystal walls and coming within a hair's breadth of hitting everyone in their path. Vesper then stopped again, creating another tremor. Vesper lost her footing and landed on her side. Spike went tumbling head over tail, and she heard a loud humming before she knew pain torn through her, shocking and burning her simultaneously. It was short-lived, thankfully, but her body continued to twitch and jerk uncontrollably. You mud ponies really are resilient. That should have killed you, but I'll make sure this one does. Applejack struggled to keep her eyes open, looking at Vesper as she prepared Applejack's death. The feeble flop of her hoof was her futile attempt at dodging. A red streak spread towards her, and disappeared amongst the floating tile. Arrgh! Vesper hissed, closing a hoof against the side of her face. Rarity rushed over to Applejack, before the Crystalians floating behind her. Applejack cracked a smile and croaked, "Like Sugar Cube." Vesper roared, interrupting their exchange. Her cheek blackened from her own magic attack. She charged her horn again, an inferno wrapping around it. Let's see you reflect this! The inferno grew larger and larger, spreading over Vesper like a cloud. Rarity huddled close to Applejack. Oh no! Applejack watched as the fire compressed into a ball. Vesper raised her hoof, then brought it down, directing the fireball to its victims. A white light flashed in the corner of Applejack's vision. Instead of the fireball incinerating her, and dispersed against the golden force field. Vesper reared back. What? Arrgh! Struck in the chest by a radiant blast, she flew and hit the wall. Quick to regain her stance, she glared at the light source. Her pupil contracted. Mother? Vesper's shocked expression was the last thing Applejack saw before the Crystarian was replaced by a familiar frozen wasteland. She sat up, warm light flowing into every pore. Her body was no longer fatigued from Vesper's magic, though quite cold from the sun in such an environment. Applejack! A serene and regal voice reached her ears. Are you all right? Applejack turned her head and gasped, Princess Celestial. Okay. How about this? What? Let's let her have this, okay? I suppose so, Trixie. I mean, this is an important story for her. This is something important that she needs to go through. Exactly. On the other hand, once again, I can't help but have a little prejudice lately. It comes from reading so many comments about Celestia should have done this, Celestia should have done that, Celestia should be here, and all of that bullcrap I've been reading from so many forum posts lately. It's just tiring, is what it is. Trixie knows. It's like, Nobody thinks the main six can do anything on their own. You gotta have the big brave Celestia come in and save the day. And it pisses me off. It's like, these people who complain about this can't do anything on their own. They don't want to do anything on their own. They can't think of doing anything on their own. And thus, they want things like Celestia or Professor Ozpin to come in and do all the work. It makes me mad. Because, personally, I've always been raised to do things on my own. To actually step forward and work hard. I've been taught to always do my best. I always enjoy stories where the heroes do things through their own perseverance, through their own hard work and effort, without some teacher coming in. Well, sure, the teacher might have a little help, but I've always been raised and taught to do things on my own. And I've always appreciated stories where they're at. I prefer it when Conan goes in and slashes the head of Amon Toss and cut it off on his own power. I like it when it's through Luke's own kindness and his ability to show mercy that convinces Darth Vader to kill Palpatine and bring balance to the Force. I also like it when Usagi is standing there but has her friends helping her. It's not Queen Serenity who helps Usagi, but her friends. I like it when the Power Rangers form the Megazord and take down the monster together as a team. Not when Zordon says, "Oh, by the way, here's this Deus Ex Machina." Boom. So, yeah. Having Celestia come in just irks me. But the story does know when it brings her into a good point. And the story has been great so far. I've had my own complaints about it, but most of that are nitpicks being brought upon years of being abused by certain other fanfics. Look at you, Mikey! And I'd just rather it not have a goddess come in, or rather would just have Celestia maybe have her own adventure. Or even Celestia doing this from the beginning and having her powers gone, or something where it doesn't feel like Celestia stepping in, just feels like it's just, oh yeah, you guys worked hard on this, you guys did a lot, but I'm taking this away from you now. I mean, to be fair, it's not always that, but right now, all I can feel like is just, they did nothing. Celestia did nothing to earn this, and the rest of the girls are just like, well, we did our job, bye! And are just sitting back on the sidelines. Celestia's anxious face eased into a smile upon seeing Applejack's consciousness. She quickly turned to Rainbow and rested her horn on Rainbow's chest. Snapped bones clicked back into place, and charred skin beneath the blood healed over. Rainbow's eyes came into focus. She sat on Fluttershy's hooves and groaned. Ugh, what happened? Sivo's answer was a loud squeal of relief from Fluttershy, followed by a group tackle from all her friends. Though the sight warmed Celestia's heart, she quickly stood over them all. Everyone looked up, words forming on 6 pairs of lips. I am overjoyed to know you are all alive and well, she said before anyone could utter a word. Where are Twilight and Sunset? A wave of joy died in an instant. Crestfallen looks marring their faces. Rarity was the first to speak up, bringing her hosts together in a guilty fashion. We tried to stop Vespa from finishing the Dark Regalia, but we failed. And once he did, Sunset lost it. Applejack nodded. She tackled Twilight and teleported somewhere. I thought she might have just taken Twilight back to the entrance, Spike said. I mean, where else could they have gone? You didn't see them on your way in, Princess, Rarity asked. Celestia shook her head. I scanned this part of the tundra upon my arrival, and sensed Vesper's magic below me, along with several beings fighting for their lives. I immediately teleported directly to your presence instead of searching the entrance. Rainbow stood up. Then we gotta go back and whoa! Sound stones being ground to power reached them before the earth in front of them exploded. Celestia encased everyone with her golden shield, and telekinetically shoved them away as far as she could from the growing fissure. An ironclad hoof carved the edge of the hole, dragged the rest of the body to view. Celestia suppressed a gasp and a sob as the Elcor rose out of the hole. Her red and gold mane danced behind her, as wild and frantic as her eyes. He took one look at Celestia and broke into the demonic grin. Mother! Mother, it is you. You are here. You freely came! Celestia watched Vesper dance with joy, saw the dark fancies waltzing behind her draconic eyes. Sunset shimmer, she said softly. I'm just so happy to see you, Mother. I feel like it's been ages. Even longer for you, I'm sure. Did you miss me? You missed me, didn't you? Didn't you? Celestia shook her head softly. Sunset shimmer, look what you've done to yourself. Vesper raised a hoof and admired it. Do you like it? I'm finally an Alucard, just like you, Mother. You're proud, right? I'm truly your daughter now! Did nothing I say ever reach you, Sunset? Oh no, Mother. I learned a lot from listening to you, but you know what they say. Actions speak louder than words. Dismissing me from your utility list, just zoning me as your daughter, replacing me with Twilight Sparkle! I could never replace you. Celestia's voice was heavy. Tears gathered across her eyes. You may not believe it, but I always loved you. I always have and always will. Vesper's face hardened. If you do, then say it. Tell all of Equestria that you love me. That I am your only daughter, and the heir to the throne. Disown Twilight Sparkle, and admit that I am her superior! Love doesn't work like that, Sunset. It's not something you can lord over with ponies' heads. I love you, Sunset. And I do think of you as my daughter. Why isn't that enough for you? If I was writing this, this will be over in about a few lines of dialogue. I won't admit that she's your superior. Ha ha! You do love her than me! No. Twilight is superior to you because she doesn't need armor to make her strong. Her power comes from her own abilities. Her strength and courage all come from that. You are wearing nothing more than armor. But I am strong! No, it's the armor that's making you strong. Nothing you have is your own. Oh, fuck you! I'll show you! I don't need these hooves! I don't need this crown! I don't even need this amulet! I am strong as you! Fuck! Love doesn't work like that, Sunset. It's not something you lord over other ponies' heads. I love you, Sunset! And I do think of you as my daughter. Why is that enough for you? Because you always put somebody else before me. Because the second I left, you replaced me. Because the more I tried to show my love for you, the more you pushed me away. Vesper took several gulps of air. Her pupils, smarled and primping, danced hilarically. You say you love me, but it was only second hoof love. My love for you is the greatest in all the world. No boy cares about you as much as I do. I just want you to know you feel the same way. But you don't care. You never cared. You! Vesper screamed and flailed her head, spill flying everywhere. She was fast. Celestia looked at Sunset's draconic eyes. Do you remember when you tried to celebrate my birthday? Vesper leaned her head back. What? You asked me when my birthday was. Celestia smiled fondly. When I came around you, you set half the kitchen on fire trying to make me a cake. The head chef scolded you, but I laughed the entire day. I ate every last bite to break the cake, too. So what? Do you remember your 13th birthday? Celestia asked. You only asked that we sit and read together, so we did. We curled up in the library and read all the books all day, making funny faces for all the characters. Vesper took a step back, eyes wide with resistance. No, stop it! You're just... Or, when we play tag in the gardens, you accused me of cheating whenever I teleport just before you caught me. Even though you could do the same thing when I was out. Shut up! Vesper stomped her host against the ground repeatedly. Shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up! Stop trying to make me remember. I don't want to remember all the lies! They weren't lies, Celestia said urgently. I love you. Take out that heart regalia and you'll see it. Vesper hissed, showing off her fangs. You just want me to take them all so I'll be powerless again, so you could drag me away to the dozens this time! No, Sunset. I want to help you. Enough! The wind kicked up into the tempest that followed slowly around him. I've had enough of this. You don't love me. You love Cadence. You love Luna. You love Twilight Sparkle. But I was always second to them. I was never family! Sunset? My name is not Sunset! Vesper screeched. Sunset Shimmer is dead! She died the moment you crowned Twilight Sparkle. She broke into a savage grin. I am much better pony than little Sunset Shimmer. I am a goddess that all will bow to! She flared her wings out and her mane began to twist and laceracally. I will be Equestria's newest beacon of life and respect. Every pony, no, every living being will hail to me as the bringer of the sun! She extended a hoof to a rippling spot in the air and pulled out a long, thin crimson sword. You may not love me now, Mother, but you will soon. The crimson blade hovered in front of her, pointing at Celestia. Behold! For I am Vesper Radiance. I am heir to Equestria! She snapped her head back and laughed into the powder-filled sky. Anguishing at Celestia's heart, she gazed upon Vesper in a fit of mad laughter. His fainted head been, she came with the hope of bringing Sunset home, of finding something salvageable in their relationship. But the pseudo-alicorn that floated above her was no longer Sunset. She was no longer the small and nervous filly from the orphanage, or the confident mare who had been the devoted student adopted daughter. Celestia could feel the stranger's equanimity slipping away minute by minute, consumed by an inferno of seething rage and a deluge of sadness. Nor Celestia stood another monument to her failures. She bowed her head. Sunset Shimmer, I'm sorry. Vesper brought her head down. You're sorry? She watched Celestia with curious eyes. You're sorry, Mother? After all these years, now you apologize? Celestia didn't respond. Vesper just bobbed her head and smiled like a prayer. It's okay, Mother. Of course I forgive you. As he gathered around Vesper's spiraling horn, manifesting itself into excited electricity. I have to forgive you. You're my mother, and I love you. I love you so much, I hate you. 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 Vesper's entire body shuddered. But since you apologize me, I promise I'll be gentle when I kill you. And don't worry, I know necromancy. I'll keep your body right next to my throne. Then we could be together for all eternity. Doesn't that sound like fun, Mother? Doesn't that sound like fun? Celestia inhaled slowly, feeling her magic flow through every pore, warming her body. Though it did little for her spirit, she spoke in a barely audible whisper. I am so sorry I did not get to be here in time. I'm sorry I could not catch you when you fell into madness. If there will ever be another stain on my past, on my name, made so many mistakes in recent years. Became so unaware. Eyes open, revealing unwavering conviction. But I know deep down it was you who ultimately made all the wrong choices. I tried to steer you down the right path. You rejected my teachings. The snow melted around Celestia's hooves, and she rose to join Vesper in the sky. I love you, Sunset Shimmer. That will never change. We have reached the point of no return. That much is clear to me now. The air, already humming with magic, is now vibrating with energy released by the two alicorns. To protect my kingdom and those I love, long white blade with a golden sun blazes into the hailed materials behind her. I will destroy the Dark Regalia. If that means you along with it, then so be it. Vesper laughed. How adorable. Fighting for Equestria and all the worthless filth living in it. That's the Celestia I know. The righteous bleeding heart. Her eyes burned white, and waves of heat radiated over her body. But how do you hope to beat me? I wield the full powers of 3 dark regalia, and the powers of the sun! She raised her hose above her head, and in the west behind her, faint light began to rise from the horizon, burning a hole through the clouds. Soft orange and pink rays reached out over the wasteland, illuminating under the settled sky. Celestia watched the sun settle below the horizon, throwing the world to second dusk. Her own magic had prickled the entire time, an insect couldn't be scratched. It had been invading and unnatural. Without question, points around the world would panic. Celestia welcomed the sun's light. Her eyes burned white as the sun rose behind her. And who was it that taught you to use those powers? She rushed forward, drawing her blade back to strike. Foolish child, I am the sun! Twilight landed on her back, only having a split second to regain her bearings before Sunset bore down on her. Twilight struck her legs out, casting Sunset in the chest and bucking her across the room. Sunset! Twilight yelled as she got to her host. Snap out of it! Don't let Vesper turn you to the thing you swore to defeat! Sunset rose and snarled. I was already halfway there. Might as well go all in and secure myself a future. Wasn't talking to you, Vesper. I was talking to Sunset. Different name, same pony. If she was conscious, I'm sure she would tell you the same thing. Sunset released an arc of lightning. Twilight teleported behind a stone pillar. Taking note that he had ended up at Crystarium's entrance hall. She ducked as a bolt skimmed over her head and blasted a hole in the wall. She teleported again to the other side of the room. I have to get back to my friends. I have to get Sunset out of Vesper's control, but how? Jetfire caught the tip of her tail. Twilight yelled before teleporting again. When she reappeared, she extinguished her tail and tentatively looked behind the protective pillar. Sunset was across from her, charging her horn again. She spotted Twilight and whipped her head toward the pillar. Sickle of air, she cut through it like butter, sent it toppling over. Twilight raced out from behind it, throwing up her shield while Sunset continued to fire at her. Come on! Fight back, you coward! Fight back! Sunset screamed. Twilight slid behind another pillar and took a heaving gasp of air. The woman on her side felt like a cluster of needles. The pillar trembled as one Sunset spell smashed into it. Twilight knew she had very little time to stand there and contemplate her next move. But she couldn't fight Sunset. She never could hurt any of her friends. But she had to do something. The pillar crumbled to pieces, forcing Twilight back into the open. She fired a quick spell to knock Sunset's own off course. Dodged the next two. Maybe, if I could get close to use my memory spell, I could wake up a real Sunset! She took the offensive, firing a few spells of her own while charging forward. Sunset repelled them easily, though Twilight never had intended to do damage. Sunset sidestepped and brandished a fiery weapon from her horn, snapped at Twilight, aiming at her neck. Twilight ducked, surrounding herself with a veil of water before pressing forward again. Sunset recalled her whip and charged her horn, Artissi instead. Twilight aimed a well-placed spell at Sunset's horn, disrupting her magic and making her go cross-eyed. Twilight dropped her water shield and leaped between the gap between them, pinning Sunset down her back. Good memories, Twilight tensely chanted. She lowered her horn to Sunset's, only to sharply recoil to hope to collide with it. She stepped back before Sunset could hear her again. Your memory spell isn't going to work, Twilight! Sunset powered her horn. I'm not some lost little lamb or some confused filly. It's because I remember now everything, so I can finally be myself again! A disc of teal light split from her horn and flew toward Twilight. Gaining her senses in time, Twilight raised her shield. The disc collided with it, sounding like a buzzsaw through cutting through steel. Twilight increased her shield's power. Sunset increased her disc's strength. It's obvious to Twilight who was going to win the standoff. So she cut her shield, teleported to the other side of the room. The energy disc was persistent and came buzzing after her. Twilight turned and ran, hopping over the rubble remains of the stone pillars. She tried to get a shot in at Sunset. Whenever she tried to aim, the disc came closer, sexing her tail. Twilight tried a different tactic. A purple aura enveloped her entire body as she dove towards the wall, running up it while the disc flew past her. Sunset grunted and turned the disc after her, but Twilight continued up the wall and jumped to the ceiling, running several shots at Sunset to break her concentration. The energy disc peered out as Sunset tried to avoid getting hit. From a verted angle, Twilight released an ice spell at Sunset's host and missed, from a thick layer of frost underneath her. When Sunset put her hoof back down, it slipped out from beneath her. She fell into her stomach. Twilight jumped for the ceiling, flipping herself around when her gravity spell dispelled. She glided down, tackled Sunset before she could stand up. Slid across the ice and came to a stop in front of the door leading to Grand Hall. No memory spell, Twilight thought, struggling to keep Sunset pinned down. Just find her! Burst of Fancy blasted Twilight off her hose and threw her into a wall. She slid down to the floor before being hit again. She screamed, smoke curling off her body. Pathetic! Sunset crossed the room, another spell gathering a tip of a horn. You're that desperate to save some point that doesn't exist! She shot Twilight, but only managed to feebly raise a wing in defense. You think because we're friends I'll go easy on you? Sunset said over Twilight's screams. Twilight pressed herself on her hose. Blister across her back ruptured, but trickled onto her feathers. She faced Sunset. No. It's because we're friends I know I can snap you out of it! Snap out of what? Sunset fired a beam into Twilight's chest and sent her back to the floor. I'm my true self again. If anything, I spent 19 years in a trance, only to finally wake up now. I'm the original Sunset Shimmer. I'm the real one! Twilight got up and began gasping for breath. You may be the original, but you're not the real one. The real one is in there fighting. I know she is! Twilight crumpled to the floor. Her entire body was one burning ache. Her muscles were violently twisting. Sunset loomed over her. That illusion is dead. Despite all of her bravado about fighting for her friends, her weak will finally gave out and let me take control again. She no longer exists. Sunset's horn glowed, teal color darker than usual. Soon, neither will you. Twilight looked at her head and found Sunset's eyes. They were still tinged with the faintest red, filled with unfathomable lonely. Twilight could see nothing beyond them. As he heard it, small and distant, but it pierced her heart all the same. Magic roared to life as he threw Sunset across the room. Twilight stood up, her legs trembling under her weight. You're wrong. She still exists. She's still fighting. Twilight stepped forward. I heard her. She asked for help. This time, I won't ignore her! Sunset rose to war. You delusional fool! A wave of teal erupted from her horn. Twilight's wave of lavender rushed forth, and the two forces collided in the center of the room. Twilight's entire body struggled from exhaustion, but she stood her ground, just like in the wind cameras so long ago. Both powers were evenly matched. Twilight pressed harder. She knew she was the stronger one. As long as Sunset wasn't wearing the Alicorn amulet, Twilight surpassed her, even only by a marginal amount. Purple overcame teal, pressing Sunset back. Straight sparks showered from her horn as she pushed back, returning to the focal point in the middle. You're fighting a pointless battle, princess! I'm fighting to save my friend! Sunset snarled. Why? So she can be conscious when she fully does fear existence? Twilight faltered, magic lost her ground, swallowed up by teal light. No, you've been doing her a favor by letting her sleep. I'm sparing her the agony of absolute death. No! Twilight stood tall, pushing her magic back to the center. You're the one killing her! I promised her everything would be alright. I find a way to stop her fate, and I will keep that promise! A high-pitched whine rang through the hall. Two opposing magics turned white, and collapsed into a spear. Rapid arrows crackled around it, making Twilight's frail stand up. Pressed itself and expanded outward, throwing Twilight both Sunset against opposite walls. I fell into her stomach, dust settling on top of her. She allowed herself 5 seconds of rest before she forced herself to stand up. Hissing at the pain strangled her body. She fell several times before she regained her footing. Across the room, Sunset was still lying on the floor, dust and rubble coating her. Her ears twisted Twilight's approach. She opened an eye. So you're going to try to fight me to save me? You're a fool, Twilight Sparkle. Twilight stopped in front of her horn, growling. Not gonna fight you. Not if I don't have to. You truly are a fool. Sunset pushed herself up. We'll fight and I will win. Only one of us is leaving this place alive. No, we both are. Together! Twilight bowed her head and touched her horn to Sunset's. Now you see, isn't that better than just a random goddess coming on in and saving everybody? Isn't it better to have your character actually do the fight on her own? Doesn't it feel more satisfying rather than having the big ruler come in and take care of everything? Doesn't it feel more accomplished?